Hi there, I'm Terry Duncan. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to play around with some stencils. I just picked this set up from Concord and Ninth. It's called the Cottage Garden Stamp. Well, actually, there's a stamp, stencil, and die set that we're going to be potentially using. I've got them all in this one packet. I'm also considering using Happy Birthday. I need a Happy Birthday card. I'm going to be using a stamp wheel to do my stenciling with. And then I've selected a couple of different cardstocks and a couple of inks to match. I've got Oceanside, Dragonfruit, and Carnation from Concord. And then I've got the Dragonfruit. I discovered just now that I don't have any Carnation cardstock. I believe it was out of stock when I was buying all my cardstock. But I think we'll be okay with that. And then I've got some Oceanside and some Peacock to ground it a little bit. I've got my blending brushes here. So let's get started. I guess I failed to mention that I do have some blending cardstock here as well. So I am going to just get organized here a little bit. I'm going to get my stamp wheel set up. I like to set my cardstock right in the center. And I've got the stamp wheel marked in a way that I can do that. You don't have to have it centered, but I just like to do that. And then, in fact, it might be easier to put it in a corner with these stencils, but we'll see. Because the stencils are marked just the size of an A2 card panel. I'm going to use the pattern that's on here just as a guide. I want to go with the teal color for the leaves in the centers. I want to go with the dragon fruit in the center and then the carnation on the outside. So if we just get these in the order that I think we'll be working in, we're going to start with the lightest first. Looks like I have them upside down. So there, here we go. And this is interesting. They've got the stencil so that it actually goes off of an A2 card size panel. That's kind of cool. So that you could trim if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm going to begin with carnation. And I just use a little eraser to keep my ink pad in place. I am going to use a little piece of paper towel to clean my brush off. Because it looks like I had something really dark on it before. And you just rub that on the paper towel until most of the color is gone. I think that takes us to a pretty good place. I'm just going to dab off on the paper towel, and then I'm just going to start lightly on the stencil first. And I'm moving in both directions to make sure that I get it in all the little nooks and crannies. I am going to try to do a little bit of shading, which means that I want it a little bit darker in the center than I do in out towards the edges. And this one looks like it's kind of delicate, so we're going to be kind of careful. And I'll hold that down just to make sure that it doesn't rip or tear. This would probably go quicker if you had larger brushes. But my Concord brushes are all the smaller size. Oh, got a little carried away there. Make sure I fill that in. So that's it for the first layer. Now I'm going to go on to Dragonfruit. I'm going to switch out my stencils. Ooh, that's pretty. I'm just going to make sure that I'm lined up with where I've stenciled before. This dragon fruit is a beautiful fuchsia color. It's gorgeous. Probably would have done better to have varied that a little bit, but it may be okay. I'm going to vary this one. And now we'll go on to the third layer. And again, I'm going to align my stencil with where I did the stenciling on the first two layers. I'm going to clean my brush off. It doesn't look like I need to clean it. And if you like my videos, please click on the subscribe button below and on the bell so that you get notifications whenever I publish new videos. That helps my channel, and I'd love to have you join me. Now this is a little bit lighter than I think what I want. So I may go ahead and get some Peacock and add it in as shading. And I'm just holding on to this stencil because there's not much of the stamp wheel sticky mat to hold on to it. And just add some of the darker shading. So I want to go around the edges here so that The centers are actually lighter in the center. And I'm making the stems good and dark. I'm hoping this shading that I'm adding in will just add a little extra dimension to the stenciling. The reason why I'm going dark around the edges is because that's where it dips down. So that would be where the shadow would be on the center of a big flower. The light would be hitting the places that are closest to the sun or the light. So let's see how that looks. Oh, love it. Love, love, love it. Okay, so that is it for our stenciling. And I am using this blending cardstock, which is a little more fragile than some other cardstocks. So I'm being careful to bend that sticky mat instead of the cardstock. Now, the next thing I wanted to do, I'm just going to get this ink put out of the way so I don't get it all over everything. There are a couple of dies that come with this set. And I didn't realize it till right now that that might just, you could add some dimension by just cutting that one piece out. So I think I will do that with the cardstock that I had pulled out. I am going to use the Peacock for the stem. And I am going to use Dragonfruit for this little guy. And I'm just going to run those through off camera. So there are my die cuts. I'll just take a little corner of this blending cardstock. I think I'll use a brand new brush. And that does look kind of splotchy now, but the ink does have a leveling solution in it, which will allow it to dry nice and smooth. And I'll cut that off screen. And I'm just wondering if that peacock isn't too dark. Looks pretty dark. And I just had an idea that we may just, instead of putting it right on top, we can put it off to the side, kind of, so that it kind of looks like there's two of them. And if we do that, then I'm going to leave that darker stem. And I'm going to get another piece to frame it with, because I think that would make a really pretty finishing touch. So I am going to trim 1/8 of an inch off of each of the sides. So pretty, I hate to cut any of it off. So I'm making an A2 size card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm trimming this panel down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I'm just going to grab another piece of peacock here. And I've got a card base cut. It's taken a half sheet of 110-pound white Nina Classic Crest 110-pound solar white, and I cut it in half so it measures 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. And I'm going to use my bone folder to just give it a nice crisp fold. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the peacock A2 size piece to the card base. And I'm going to do that using my stamp wheel to make sure that I get it all even. I tend to miss the fold. So what I'm doing is putting the front of my card base into the stamp wheel down into this corner down here. And then I'm going to use a tape runner. I've just got an easy runner from Scrapbook Adhesives. And I'm just going to add that adhesive around the edges. I always like to go right down the center as well. I'm going to move this. Now I'm going to hold this in the upper right hand corner, and I'm going to push it down into the corner of the stamp wheel. Your main concern is to get it along this fold here. Fully lift it up. And we got a good stick there. And I don't think I'm going to pop this up because I am going to pop up the flower. So I'm just going to add that stenciled panel also with tape runner. Probably don't need as much as I use, but I don't like the edges to come loose. And now you want to get this centered right in the middle. So I just have a little 1/8" border. So it sometimes is helpful to stand up when you do this. There we go. Now, like I said, I think I'm going to pop this up. And I'm going to do that with some little squares that I have. These are from Spellbinders. And I'm just going to put those on the backs of the leaves. And I'm going to just add a little dab of glue. I probably should have done this before I put that on, but I want to add a little a little dab of glue to the end of this, so it'll fasten down and not catch on anything. And then I am going to take this and I'm just going to, I think I'm going to bend it a little bit. Just using my fingernail to make kind of a arched movement in that, and then I'll fasten this to this lighter pink. And I'm just pressing that together so it sticks. And then I'm going to add some more liquid glue to the back of this pink. And I'm trying to make sure that the blue doesn't show up. I'm just going to let that set up a little bit, and then I'm going to bend those petals a little bit more. And then, like I said, I wanted to make a happy birthday card. I thought I'd do. Maybe should have done this before I attached everything. Just going to do the I adore you. Let's do some experimenting. I'm going to pick that up with the lid of my stamp wheel. And I am going to use white pigment ink. I have Lawn Fawn Yeti here. And it's a brand new stamp, but when you're using Pigment or Watermark ink, you don't have to condition the stamp because those inks are so sticky that they will condition them for you. And so I am just going to and I'm going to do it one more time because it's not covering everything like I like it to. We'll just see how that does. And then I am going to use white embossing powder. Keep it in a tub like this. And I'm just spreading it on. I'm going to let it sit for a minute to set. And then I'll pour it off and give it a good wrap with my, that did a pretty good job. Now I'm going to heat up my heat tool for 40 seconds and then I'm going to melt the embossing powder until it's smooth. I'm just going to speed up the video and turn on some music for you to enjoy. Okay. And did I cut this out? I'm going to do that off camera. So what I'm contemplating is may just try to go with some vellum. If I used silver heat embossing on vellum over that, I adore you, that might be kind of nice. So let's try that. To trim that with. I think I like that. So I'm going to make a sticker of this sentiment, and I'm going to do that by using my Creative Station light. And you just place the sentiment in the machine and then roll it through. There we go. And I think right nestled into that little leaf there. Fastening it down, and you see when you use it, when you make a sticker like that, then you don't see the adhesive at all. And then I'm going to pop this up and place it kind of like that. So I've got some 1/4-inch foam tape that I think will do nicely with that, for that. appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button and click on the bell. That really helps me, and it'll help you to know whenever I am publishing new videos. They're right down below right down below there. And I'll also list all of the supplies that I used for today's card down in the description. So I think I'll just place that there. Move all this stuff out of the way so you can see the card. We'll prop this petal up just a little bit. And that turned out pretty good. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for joining me. Bye for now.